What's going on, everybody? Just Me and Bro podcast, episode 2. Larry Codio, your host here with my bro, the GOAT, Khary Billy Smith. And we're just going to get into a little Super Bowl preview, man. The Chiefs are on their way to do this three-peat. I mean, this is some historic stuff. I'm only 27. I've obviously never seen this career. You're not that much older than me. You've never seen anything like this. And I just want to know, just off the bat, kind of what are your thoughts leading up to this Super Bowl? Kind of what do you expect from the Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, Jalen Hurts? Just what are your initial thoughts and kind of your just overall takes on, leading up to the game?
Chiefs, the Super Bowl is always what you would consider the best football of the year. So I'm just trying to watch some good football, man. None of these teams are my team, but at the same time, I do think that some of the players on the team are actually really talented and generational talent too. There's not really many people out there anymore, especially if we start talking about upcoming athletes in modern day athletic culture. But Super Bowl, I'm ready to watch some good football, man, kick back with some people, vibe. Everybody's liking football, but also to get a break from the NFL. That's kind of like that wind down time where,
I mean, Super Bowl time is always bittersweet because it's the game where, even casuals, non-football fans, it's like everybody, it's almost like a national holiday at this point. Everybody's watching the game, but I feel like it's also the last football game of the year. So, it's kind of like, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of like, it's a little bad after that.
Well, it's the championship, so the best team is the best team. But this time, the best team has the potential to do something that no team has ever done before.
Yeah, and that's what I'm looking forward to see. I don't want to give away my pick, but just, I really don't know. I'm literally at a loss for words trying to even, talk about it because, if they actually accomplish this goal, winning 3 Super Bowls, I don't know what to say. I'm a New
shout
England
out the Eagles, though.
Yeah, no, I'm shutting out the Eagles and all that, but I'm saying, I'm a New England homer. I think Tom Brady's the GOAT, but it would be hard to argue that Patrick Mahomes isn't the GOAT, just on the trajectory that he's on in the 6 seasons that he started, or 7 seasons that he started, 7 straight AFC championship game. It's ridiculous. The Super Bowl appearances, 4 Super Bowl appearances, 3 Super Bowl wins. I think this will be his 4th Super Bowl, 3 straight. It's just I'm just damn. So
yeah, I think it's just culture though too. I think Casey's doing it in a fashion where they want to win. They're producing, they're doing it, moving star players off their team, picking up some guys are coming up and developing and getting the spotlight and actually executing. And Patrick Mahomes is just leading them, and they're doing what they got to do. I haven't watched too much football this season, not going to hold you. I've been mad busy with life. But, I see what he done, and I listened to a few people talk about a couple of things this season. They had some late games, but look at their record. You would never think that. But when you look at the scores, a lot of the games were close, and they were just winning, finding ways to win.
So I want to ask you this, and this is a genuine question. This is not no script and anything. So you've played football at a high level, and I don't want to speak on this. You've been in those trenches. You've been in those battles with your brothers and fighting, trying to get W's. And I want to know, is that a real thing when it just comes down to teams knowing how to win? I hear people say that, but I almost feel like the term gets used so loosely. What does that necessarily mean? When people are oh, they just know how to win, because the Chiefs have one of the smallest point differentials out of all of the teams in the NFL, but because they're beating teams by less than 1 possession games, 1 score games, you know what I'm saying, less than 7 points, but yet they're literally in games that Patrick Mahomes is starting, they lost 1 game in the past however many games. Like I think like last like 20 something games, like dating back to last year's playoffs into this year, they were 15-1. They obviously had two losses because that last game all the Chiefs players were benched. But I'm saying when the Chiefs are like starting like their guys, like they find a way to win every single game, and I'm just like, is that a real thing? Like I want to know, like coming from you who's been in those battles, like I'm genuinely asking, like
Yeah, no. So, even at UMass, bro, we didn't win, and we had some dogs though, and some people who went on to do some great things. Shout out to two of the Eagles, like I said earlier, Isaiah Rogers, corner from the Eagles.
okay,
Jack Driscoll, I saw that he was injured, but he's a lineman. He's on the roster. He's been putting in the work. He played a lot in the last seasons when they've had success. And these are guys that were right there in the locker room with me, and I seen them work and go through same things that I went through. We had similar experiences, even though the backgrounds are different, right? And you kind of create that bond. They're my teammates. So I'm happy for them. I don't really talk to either of them too much, but like I still wish them well, just because I know what they've
like
been
did
through
you
to get
see
there.
that in them like back in the day?
You know
Like,
what I
these
mean?
are winning players regardless of the situation they were in.
But you see it in everybody at the same time. It's just about the cards you're dealt and how you deal with it. Like everybody in their
So
own
is it
sense.
like an organizational thing that you think is just going on in Kansas City, where regardless of the player and his background and where he comes from, like do you kind of feel like that ultimately leads for the individuals and the team and ultimately the organization, like they have a culture there where it's from top to bottom, like where it's kind of like
Football's definitely a game like chess where it works from the top down. So
regardless of how talented the guys are, it's kind of like if it's not really that.
You're not just doing stuff to do it. It's all intentional. It's purposeful moves and mixing pieces together, and then philosophies and different ideology, different body types, different capabilities. People who are able to play a certain type of way on offense or defense. Like if you're a run heavy team, you need linemen, but do you need your linemen to be able to pull and run outside?
Yeah.
Or you need some big stout guys who going, you know what I mean?
Yeah, just drop the ball down the feet. Yeah, and I feel like you see, like I said, bro, I'm gonna keep reiterating this. Like we're New Englanders, man. We're used to winning Super Bowls. Like everything that the Chiefs are doing now, they're kind of, I feel like, almost replicating the Belichick kind of blueprint, where it's like such a well-oiled machine, where like the personnel changes throughout the years slowly but surely, but it's almost like you have those same core guys who kind of have that foundation and those core values that can kind of keep the consistency throughout the locker room, and it's like you can continuously have success year in, year out, year out. You're not going to win the Super Bowl every year, but just being in the mix every year and things like that. So this is not new to us. I don't know about the listeners. I'm assuming most of our listeners are local, but for now, but
it's crazy how local people not be Patriots fans.
I don't know how they cannot be though, because
I run into a lot of local people who just like random teams, like
they're goofies,
like the Steelers or the
Cowboys.
Cowboys. Like, my father's a cowboy. Like I get that way his time, whatever. But it's like I don't know. Maybe because came up during that era where they was actually experiencing success, you know what I mean? But the one thing that I think differentiates like New England and Kansas City was New England's culture is a little different, and like the community and as everyone here wanted to like grind and work hard and do what you gotta do to win, you know what I mean? Versus in KC, it's like, hey, come over here, we got the recipe, we're gonna mix and match and see what works with what we got and make the best of what we got to do what we need to do. And
what makes you think that?
The way they just play, it just seems like more fluid and more like organic versus like a structure. Like they just play to beat everybody.
Are you sure that's the game on the field and not the?
But in the coaching strategy,
or not the I'm saying, or not 100%. The
100%.
Coach on the podium.
No, it's 100% the coach.
Because I feel like
but the coach being able to do that with his players is a crazy relationship, and that's something that I even strive for with my athletes.
Well, because Andy Reid is an offensive-minded coach, where Patrick Mahomes' play style, it's almost like
But
it's
you
like
see
a
what I'm
match
saying?
made
So
in
you
heaven,
need
where it's like he
but Tom
trusts those
Brady-
boys to get creative and do, because they always break out like a trick play here and there, whether it be or even Travis Kelce throwing the lateral. It's like they're playing so free, where it's like most places it'll be like,
Listen to this though.
you wouldn't dare try that.
Tom Brady
Okay.
was Mr. Irrelevant, right?
Yeah.
But so he had to like work hard for what he got in a sense, like, and that's what the culture was built on behind New England, because their person that they were had that relationship with the coach and had the connection and was able to understand and actually execute the game plan, the philosophies. He was someone who had to embody what the overall mission was saying. Whereas Patrick Mahomes now, I know there was videos of him getting that call. I don't know what pick he was, but he was on the couch, got a phone call. His girl was there, whatever.
Probably was like 15. No, I don't want to say 15.
You know what I mean? Like, he was a draft pick.
He was the first
a high
round,
draft pick. Yeah, first round. But it's like, so him having a coach who was like, all right, come on in. Yeah, you're one of the best out here. Let's run it. Da, da, da. So I know they tried that with some other quarterbacks, and it didn't even work out that well throughout the league. But after like maybe that first, second year, but there are a lot of third, fourth, fifth, and those like mid-year quarterbacks who are like coming out and actually elevating. But
speaking of which, Jalen Hurts, who I think is the sneaky Super Bowl MVP candidate coming up. Let's talk about it. He's a second rounder. Everybody wants to talk about how Jalen Hurts was benched in the national championship game for Tua Tagovailoa, and then they ended up winning that game. So he is a national championship, but it kind of has an asterisk behind it, because people don't look at him as even though he like led them to the national championship that year, in the game, it's like the infamous game where Tua kind of made his name. Like, everybody remembers Tua for when Nick Saban called him in and he led them and won that national championship game. So it almost feels like his championship more than Jalen's. And I love Jalen. I'm a fan of Jalen since he's came into the league, and I think he's a great player. I love his leadership. I love his just the way he works the RPO game. I love his decision making. I love everything about him. I do understand people's concerns in terms of like him throwing the ball down the field and if he has to beat you with his arm, but I think that the whole X factor in this Super Bowl is that now the Eagles have Saquon Barkley. I mean, have you seen this man, like what he's been doing?
Yeah, Saquon has been going crazy.
So you have to account for the Eagles in a whole different way now, where I actually feel like this will take Jalen over the hump, where he kind of writes that narrative.
But then again, you go back to coaching, and as a head coach, you think Andy Reid's going to sit there and allow his defense to not have something in place.
Magnolia.
You know what I'm saying? I don't know nothing about that, but as if I was a head coach, I'm not really too familiar with what's going on in the NFL for real. Like I told you, I don't really watch football, but I like talking about football with people, and that's one of the favorite things about Super Bowl. We'll talk about that later. That was me with the surprise. But like I just think he's gonna have something ready to try to stop their run game, because that's what defense does. That's the first option, is the run. If a team can establish that they can run the ball on you, that means they can control the clock, they can maintain possession, they can just keep the chains moving, milk the clock, score,
the passing and
score, or at least get a field goal, and you ain't even able to. And then when you start overcommitting, we can start doing whatever we want because you'll be panic mode, right? So, as a defensive-minded person, I just want to stop the run first. So I know that the Kansas City Chiefs are thinking Saquon is all they got for real, and if we get rid of Saquon, we're going to be able to control everybody in our zone, because we can match up.
That?
Not saying that they don't have talent on the offense. Not saying that Jalen Hurts himself can't do things that hinder the defense.
I know about Jalen Hurts, but just I have to interject. So I'm just playing devil. I'm not saying you're saying that, and I'm saying for whoever is saying that. Have you ever heard of a tight end named Dallas Goedert? Have you ever heard of? We already know Saquon. Have you ever heard of A.J. Brown? Have you ever heard of a Heisman Trophy winner, Devontae Smith? The Eagles have dogs all over the place. Have you ever heard of the Lane Johnson, Jordan Mailata, that offensive line that they have in Philly? The tush push, the automatic. Every team is playing with 3 downs while the Eagles got 4 downs.
Well, what I think
This offense is unstoppable.
I understand, and shout out to all of them. I do think AJ Brown is one of the better receivers in the league, hands down.
Dog.
Devontae Smith, I like watching his game in college. But I think the deciding factor of this game.
Ian Goddard. It's nice.
I don't know nothing about him for real.
You know, every time you watch the Eagles, you be seeing him. He's one of them.
Well, and I think the deciding factor for this game is actually going to be the Eagles' defense and being able to control Kansas City's offense. And as high-powered as their offense has been, they also have not been able to complete drives here and there. There's been mistakes and things like that. And I think if the defense for Kansas City is able to get Jalen Hurts off his game and control the run a little bit, it can become up to the Eagles' defense.
So I think so. The Eagles' defense, by the way, I don't know if you know this, but it's the number 1 defense in the NFL. Per score, it's the number 1 scoring defense in the NFL. So, in the Chiefs, that being said, the Chiefs also have only scored, including the playoffs, over 30 points this season one time. So my point is, if we're actually being honest, the Chiefs, what some people would call weakness, which is their offense, because of kind of like last year when they won the Super Bowl and they were like leading the NFL in drops, the receiver play was shaky, this, that, and that. It's like right now the Chiefs have D-Hop, Juju Smith-Schuster, obviously Travis Kelce, but they're getting their ultimate success in the passing game just through like a myriad of guys. Kind of like there isn't really like no like consistent week by week like with the Eagles passing game, it's like you know who's getting the targets, you know who's kind of contributing in that. With the Chiefs, it's so many different kind of various receivers that it's kind of, I guess, unpredictable and kind of hard to defend in that matter. But it's kind of led to, like I said, those offensive struggles throughout the year where they haven't been necessarily a high-powered offense. But they do have an incredible defense led by, like I said, Coach Spagnolia and Chris Jones, that defense. But what I'm basically saying is the Eagles' defense, which is number 1 in the league, with the Chiefs' kind of offense kind of not being that high scoring, I kind of feel like this kind of matchup is favoring the Eagles in that regard. So then now when you look at the Chiefs' defense, which is great, but then the Eagles' offense is also great to offset that, which I kind of feel like is a push. But then it's kind of like the Chiefs' offense is kind of like, I don't necessarily know if the Chiefs' offense is great. I know Patrick Mahomes is great, but I don't necessarily know if like that unit as a whole, like they're relying on Xavier Likely, the freaking, the rookie with the fastest 40. Like it's just. I don't know. I have to see it again. I mean, maybe
but they've been winning. That's the only thing.
That's the thing. It's like, yeah.
And they won the last 2.
Yeah, they find a way to score more points than the other team somehow every game. So I'm excited for this game.
But we're going to go to break real quick. We'll be right back. Yes, sir. And we're back. If you're just tuning in, we had a nice talk about the Super Bowl. We're going to give you guys our picks because next week we're going to shoot another video. Like I said, we're going to be watching the Super Bowl here at the crib, at the compound. So it's going to be a vibe. There's going to be family here. There's going to be food. We're going to have a good time. But we'll talk about our picks then. What I want to get into now is some would you rather. So, Pat Mahomes or Tom Brady? Would you rather on your team?
Stop it, bro. Go Brady. How about you?
On your team for your style of play?
On anything. On my team, in a bar fight, in the club, in a business decision.
But what if your playbook was styled for like a mobile quarterback and things like that?
I answered the question.
You know what I mean?
Go Brady.
I feel you. Okay. Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen?
Stop playing. Give me Action Jack.
Lamar Jackson or Jalen Hurst?
Ooh, I don't like this question, bro. I plead the fifth. Stop it.
Well, what are your thoughts about Jalen Hurts as a QB, anyways? Like,
I
what
said
what
it
style
earlier.
of quarterback do you think he is? Is he a running quarterback when he's doing all these little short runs, or is he actually like does that qualify as a run, like the Tebow type of run, where he might break a couple and get a 20, 30
He's
yard?
definitely
But
a running quarterback. How could
okay.
he not be? I mean, he has like 16 rushing touchdowns on the year.
Yeah, but
I
how
mean,
many of them come from inside the 5 yard line?
he has 16 rushing touchdowns on the year.
I feel you.
And on top of that, he squats like over 600 pounds. I mean,
I understand, but
he's
how many of
definitely
those come from
dynamic.
inside
All right,
in
so
the
how
red
about
zone?
this? Let
That's
me
what I'm
answer this
saying.
question. If, as a defensive coordinator, which you are, as a defensive coach, which you are you not going to have to scheme and worry and strategize for him when you're coaching against him? Do you not have to factor for him as a runner?
I definitely do.
So he's a running quarterback, and I think he's a hell of a running quarterback. I love him. He's definitely not as elusive as, I don't think as dynamic as a passer as Lamar Jackson or as a runner. Like, I'm not gonna lie. I just didn't want to say it publicly because I love Jalen Hurts, but of course I think Lamar Jackson's better than him. Stop it. MV3, because he should be the MVP this year, 3 times.
Yeah.
So
Okay. All right. Well, last thing was, what was your favorite thought about Super Bowl time? We're just gonna talk about just like this time of year, winding down. Your birthday had
You
just
really wanna know?
passed. You know
You
what I
really
mean?
wanna know?
What's your favorite thing about this time of year, man?
So I don't know if you remember these days, but I remember, of course, the Patriots was in the Super Bowl every year, pretty much growing up. But my father is from New York. He's from Long Island. I don't know how that works and who they root for. I don't know if in Long Island they root for the Jets or Buffalo or what, but I know my dad is a Giants fan. Well, I don't even know if he was just a Giants fan that day. But we was all rooting for the Patriots, man. And the Giants and Eli Manning came and took that from us, not only once, but twice. And my dad didn't let us hear the end of it, man. And even though it bothered me, it's just the fact that we all gathered and watched them games and enjoyed them games. It's like, it's nothing better than just watching the Super Bowl with the fam, man. Like, I hope it's a good game this year. I hope it's not like when the Patriots beat the Rams like 10-3 or 13-10 or whatever. I hope it's not no low scoring game. I hope it's a shootout. I hope it's exciting. I hope there's a bunch of turnovers. Well, not turnovers, but I just hope there's a bunch of big plays. And just, it's exciting from start to finish, man.
No, I agree. I just want to see some good football. That's what I would say, and I mentioned that earlier. It's just,
What's your definition of good football, man? Big
I don't want to
hits.
see people just not doing what they supposed to be doing. Like, I want to see a chess match. Like, if you go on a basketball game, you don't want to just see people launching threes. And that's what they're doing. Maybe some people just want to see jump. As soon as I'm open, I throw it up. Fine, but I want to see someone break someone down, dribble, go by and get up and float over the big man, or dish it underneath to someone who could bang it through the lane.
Okay,
Pause.
like you want to see
I want to see craftsmanship in your skill.
like real operational approach to the game.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see that because they're supposed to be two of the best teams playing against each other.
And I think that's
And-
Patrick Mahomes' alley.
And then sometimes you see
Especially
some
in
miracle
close
plays,
games.
especially when you see them live, like Malcolm Butler.
Yeah.
Or like when I was out in the public watching on a 30-foot screen, saw Jason Tatum when he dunked on LeBron, like live, you know what I mean? Like that kind of feeling makes you feel good in the championship game. Like, so, and even though I'm not there, I appreciate the fact that there are people out there that are trying to maximize their potential. And
Now, can we sneak in this
go
really
win.
quick, if you don't mind?
Wow.
So you know this is gonna be in New Orleans, right?
Yeah, I did.
You know they got Kendrick Lamar in the halftime show. Man, it's bucket list for me, bro, and you have to be there. And if you go, I need to be there. Bro, we have to go to one of these Super Bowls coming up. Like, we have to find a way, bro. I know the hotels, I know the travel, I know it's a mess, but like, come on, bro. The Super Bowl, we gotta figure it out, bro, because
Tickets
I know
to
it's
the
gonna
Super
be
Bowl.
incredible environment. The weather's gonna be nice, regardless of the weather outside of the arena. They're playing in a
It's
dome.
a Superdome.
That's
yeah.
another thing. They're playing in a dome. So you talking about stopping Saquon? Who? Negative.
No, that's defense.
Impossible. No, he
That's
don't have to
defense,
worry about
bro.
no elements. He don't have to worry about none of that, man. He
Exactly. So we fast too. Man.
Just, I don't care, bro. You don't think he's faster than y'all? Come
Nah,
on,
Saquon
man.
can move and they got a good scheme. But
This is.
you saying then y'all? I ain't
If
say
y'all
my
can't
side.
tell where I'm leaning already,
I ain't take my claim yet, but it is what
yeah,
it
me
is.
neither.
Man.
If y'all can't tell though,
Nah, so if you played football though, well, you did a little bit, you know. I'm not gonna, but
yeah, don't take my little
I ain't
pop
gonna-
on the card
yeah.
for me.
I ain't gonna do it. But if you had a shot in the league, what position would you want to be? A wide receiver or a DB?
Are those my only two options? As a coach, is that where you see I'm best fit?
What would you think? But yes, to answer your question.
I think I could follow a defensive scheme very well. I think that all jokes aside, I didn't have this approach when I was younger, but now and
You
We
think
just-
you'll be able to cover receivers though?
I'm not. It doesn't matter about. I don't want to even say I would think I'll be able to cover receivers. But what I do think is that I've grown to have a much more appreciation for how there's multiple moving parts, but yet they're all kind of pushing towards a common goal type of kind of theory, like kind of like multiple people like paddling on a boat or something like that. Where it's like, I don't know, it's like the most beautiful poetry in motion where I kind of feel like with that added pressure of knowing that my one role is so vital to the overall group success, I kind of just feel like I buy into that whole theory. And I know the same applies offensively, and that's why the game of football just as a whole is such a beautiful game, and I'm growing to love it more and more, honestly, every day. But ultimately, I feel like defensively, when it comes to whether covering my zone, whether it comes to following my man, when it comes to just high pointing balls, disrupting balls, hitting, playing fast, being physical, I just really feel like I could make an impact on that side of the ball.
I was trying not to say pause, nigga. But yeah, nah.
That was not pause, bro.
Hey,
I
make
say
anything.
impact on that side of the ball is not pause.
I'm just talking about
Like,
the whole
what?
last 30 seconds of that too, but it's all good. Anyways, man, we gonna see y'all next week. We appreciate y'all tuning in. If you made it with us this far,
EAGLES.
well, we gonna see y'all next week on the Super Bowl Sunday. We're gonna record an episode. We might get some other guest takes in here.
Yeah,
but
we definitely
we're
gonna
see
get
what's
some
going
guests.
on.
And we're
You
gonna
guys-
get some visuals.
And you guys gonna catch a vibe. We're gonna see, maybe put a video halftime kind of thing, or some pictures, or you might see a post celebration, that depending on what kind of wages are made in the household that day. So we gonna be in touch. But I appreciate y'all for listening. Make sure y'all hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe. Tell someone else to listen in if they wanted to support. And it's just me and my bro. We just sitting here talking to y'all about sports. The only thing that we really love and know. There's a lot more to it, but we gonna holla at y'all.
We
Peace.
out. Just being bro.